Hello everyone, good afternoon. Hope everybody's doing well today. Let me just make sure that I can see that I am indeed doing a live, and it looks like I am. Straighten up my screen here a little bit if I can. Well, wrong way, that made it worse. Okay. There we go. That's a little better. Okay. So welcome this afternoon. Hi, Akiko. Hi, Mary. Hello, Karen. Thanks for joining. I am surprised that I'm seeing comments today, so that is a good sign. Welcome to Inky Bee Stampers. My name is Carol Buckalew, and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, and I'm so glad that you joined me today. I realized that this is the third Christmas card in a row for my lives. So for next week's video, I promise to do something other than a Christmas card. But anyway, I've got a pretty one here today. This was made using the Merriest Moments Stamp Set and the Merriest Frames Hybrid Embossing Folder, which includes dies, and they it's really a cool set. So this is the stamp set, and the fonts on these sentiments are so pretty. I just love them. There's some holly leaves, poinsettia leaves, a little sprig of greenery here and here, and some berries, but just really nice sentiments. And then the hybrid embossing folder, you know, you get the embossing folder, and then you get all of these dies. And these dies are really cool. Two of these dies, this one and this one, actually fit in the embossing folder. So today I strictly did some embossing. I'm going to pull this one out, I need it. Today I just strictly used the embossing folder, but I have seen cards made with this cutout die that you can put in the embossing folder, and they are gorgeous, just so pretty. So lots of options with the stamp set and the hybrid embossing folder and the dies. All right, let's get to our card. So the first thing that I did when I was making this card was to, you know, put a white panel in the embossing folder. And if you're not aware, and I'm not sure if you can see it, but there is a black line here at the bottom of the embossing folder, and you want to line up your cardstock with that line, your panel. Now, again, I know it's probably hard to see, but I wanted to make sure that I caught, you know, the embossing of this greenery on each side. So you're going to have to play around with it just a little bit, and take your time doing it. I think I had to emboss this twice because the first time the sentiment was not straight. I didn't have equal, you know, sides here. So just take your time when you're embossing this. And this embossing folder doesn't say that it is a 3D embossing folder, but when I ran this through my Stampin' Cut and Emboss, it was indeed a 3D embossing folder. So it just takes the base plate and then the specialty plate. And you know, some embossing folders, I like to make sure I get a really good impression when I emboss. And some embossing folders will let you run, you know, the paper, the embossing folder with the paper through, you know, once, back again, maybe once more to get that nice impression. I found with this particular embossing folder, and it may be different on your machine, but I only ran it through once because it was starting to tear the fibers in the paper if I did it more than once. So another lesson learned there. You'll have to experiment with your machine, but just be aware of that. I have already gone ahead and embossed, you know, my front panel. So this is going to go on our card front. Let me get rid of this stuff here. And in the center of the embossed panel, you know, perfect area for sentiment or decoration, whatever your choice. But I actually cut a piece of Festive Foils 12 by 12 specialty designer paper. And this paper has a bit of a shimmer on it. Now you might, and I'm going to be putting an embossing label over this, and you might say, well, that's kind of a waste. But I will tell you, I'm going to, this is my sentiment label. I am going to be popping the sentiment label up with Stampin' Dimensionals. And you do see a bit of that glimmer underneath, and I just thought it was pretty. But you certainly could go with a solid color cardstock if you chose to. So I am going to go ahead and get my liquid glue and adhere this piece of Specialty Designer Series paper. And this is Cherry Cobbler, by the way. One of my favorite Christmas colors, I think. Of course, I like them all. I don't know. I always say that, but just so pretty. Hi, Faith. Thanks for joining. I know, Mary, I'm so... Oh, look, I'm looking at comments and not paying attention to my card. There, we got... That is the saving grace of glue. Thank you. Mary's saying woohoo. Yeah, definitely. I'm really glad that I'm seeing comments. Okay, so we can go ahead and let's adhere this panel to our card base. And if I miss your comment or a question or something, I apologize. Still trying to get the hang of this. It's getting easier. Yay. Boy, I'm kind of a mess today here. That's all right. Whoops. Scooch that up a little. All right, that looks good. Give that a nice press down. All right, and let's do a little bit of stamping. So this die does come with the stamp set, or with the die set rather. And so I did go ahead and pre-cut my sentiment label. So we're going to go ahead and stamp, and hopefully, fingers crossed, we get that stamped nicely. Let me grab my greeting here. And I went with Cherry Cobbler ink for this. And the sentiment is, together is the merriest place to be. And it's just so pretty. Make sure we got a nice inking on there. And apologies, I need to pull this towards me to get it stamped. And I should say, I'm stamping this off to the right of the sentiment label because our poinsettia is going to be on the side on the left. Give that a second here to kind of do its thing. Okay, that looks great, but isn't that sentiment beautiful? So pretty. All right, I'm going to give that just a second to dry. Let me clean off my stamp real quick. And then I'm going to do a little bit more stamping. And let's do all of our Cherry Cobbler since that's what I have out right now. Just stuck my finger in ink. Red ink, no. Red ink's the worst. Gets everywhere. All right. So I have a piece of real red cardstock here. So I just stamped in Cherry Cobbler. But what I'm going to do is, I'm going to stamp from this Merriest Moments Stamp Set. There are two poinsettia. There's kind of a large and a medium size stamp. And they kind of have a little bit of a design. I'm going to stamp these two on real red cardstock in Cherry Cobbler ink, just to get a bit of contrast. And we'll go ahead and stamp these. And let me get my other stamp here. Stamp this one. Okay, there we go. Looks good. And you know what? While I have my red ink out, I am going to also, I think, stamp my inside greeting. So let me find the inside panel. So we have a landscape card, so it'll be turned this way. I have a strip of the specialty DSP, which is going to go across the bottom. And you can see on my sample card here, I stamped holly leaves off to the side. I'll also do that on the envelope front. So we need to stamp, I think, these holly leaves first, and then just offset the greeting. So maybe I'll come back to this. That maybe makes better sense before I get way ahead of myself here. All right. So we can close the red ink up, and I also used Evening Evergreen to stamp on to garden green cardstock. And I'm going to stamp the two holly leaf images from the stamp set in Evening Evergreen onto garden green. Okay, there we go. That looks good. And again, I'm looking for contrast here. All right, so in the, keep forgetting the name of these dies. They are the Merriest Frames dies in this die set. We have poinsettia leaves, and you know there's 6 points, 6 petals on these poinsettias, so it doesn't take too long to line it up, but take your time and make sure you have it lined up. And that's how that one would line up. Nope, that's not it. That's how that one lines up. And then we've got the medium-sized poinsettia. And this one took me a while. Actually, I just, nope. You think you have it, and then it's not quite right. But like I said, there's 6 petals on the poinsettia, so it doesn't take too terribly long to get it right. And then we have our holly leaf dies. So I did cut these out. So I have 2 stamped leaves, 2 poinsettia petals. And then I have a smaller poinsettia petal that I am not stamping. It's just going to be die cut. And then I have a very small piece here of crushed curry. This is yet a smaller petal. And I chose to use this one for the center of the poinsettia, because poinsettias kind of have those yellow, you know, little things that come out of the center. So, you know, I also die cut one in crushed curry. So I'm going to scooch these off the side here. And I have already die cut these pieces. And we can go ahead and start working on our on putting together our poinsettia. And so I stacked, I started with the largest one, place a little glue in the center, and then put the next largest or the next smallest one on top. But I made sure to offset the petals so that we get lots of dimension on our flower. Oh, thank you, Kiko. Hey, Denny, thanks for joining. Our friend Denny is on watching me live. Woohoo! Denny, I don't know how you have the time, but I'm so glad you joined. All right, so that is that one, and then we're going to do the next one and try not to get a big glob of glue here. And I did not grab my tweezers out. That's what I need. All right. And then again, I'm going to try to, as best I can, offset that. And you can see the glue squishing out just a tad, but that's all right. It's not bad. All right. Give that just a minute. And then on this tiny little crushed curry center, and I know it's way too tiny for you to see this on camera, but you know, on the dies, when you die cut things, it leaves those little round bumps. Those annoy the heck out of me. And I'll tell you what I do. I don't always remember to do it, but I take my bone folder and I just kind of gently smooth those little bumps out. Because it just annoys me to see those. I don't know why. It kind of wrecks the image for me. You know, and you may not get them out 100%, but it does definitely help to kind of rub those out. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and glue this up. And then we're going to set this aside to just set up for a minute. I'll go ahead and work on the sentiment. But again, we want to offset the petals because we're going to come back and we're going to kind of tease these petals upwards to give the flower some more dimension. So I'm going to let that just, look, it's sticking to me. I'm just going to let that set up for a minute and bring our card base back and our greeting. And we'll go ahead and get some Stampin' Dimensionals on this and get it popped up on our card front. And all the dimensional covers cooperated. And I'm sorry, I need to pull this towards me so I make sure I get it centered. Okay, that looks pretty good. All right, not perfect. And it's stuck down. That's all right. It's just a shade off over here. I will go ahead and fix that later. So what I did, you can take your fingernail or, you know, if you have tweezers, or take your pick tool would work as well. But I just kind of put my nail over the petal and tease these little petals up just slightly, just to curl them up on the ends. Yeah, Kiko, I know. I don't like those little bumps. I don't like the bumps on the die cuts. All right. So, and they're kind of trying to fall back down, but, you know, just keep working with it and try to, you know, curl those up ever so gently. And I probably could have done this beforehand, but when I was working with the original card, they kind of would just flatten out again. So, and then the medium size and larger one, you can kind of get your fingers in there. Those two smallest ones are almost too small. But, you know, I just kind of take my finger and work the edges up just to give those a little bit of a curl. And you can, you know, re-flatten as much as you need to, or re-curl, whatever. But that is pretty much how I did that. And the poinsettia is going to sit here on the side like that. I'm going to go ahead and take my smallest holly leaf, and with my poinsettia, kind of sitting off here to the side, figure out where I need that holly leaf. So right about in there, just add a little bit of glue. Just a couple dots here. And we're going to put that and glue this directly to the card front, right about there. And then this other holly leaf, my poinsettia again, is going to sit, you know, the points will kind of meet up here at the top, and this holly leaf is going to sit, you know, partially on the sentiment label. So I am going to go ahead and just flip this over and apply a little bit of glue. And go ahead and adhere that holly leaf down. Whoops. Maybe, if it wants to stick. This one, on my sample card, I had the holly leaf hanging slightly over, and I actually slid a dimensional under there to support that leaf. So it's partially glued, and I had a dimensional. But the way I placed this one, I think that it would be just fine sitting up there without the dimensional. And then I am going to go ahead and apply a couple of dimensionals to the left side of this poinsettia. And you could also apply a little bit of glue, and I think I'm going to do that just to make sure it's secure. Get the dimensional covers off here. And we're just going to place our poinsettia right in there. Going to refluff our little center leaves there a little bit. And of course, when this gets put in an envelope, you know, I suppose those leaves will get smushed down again, but I just thought it was so pretty, you know, with all that dimension on the flower. So anyway, that is, that's the card front, with the exception, I did add a, from the leaf label, an amber gem combo pack. I did add one of the amber gems because they are kind of a goldish color. And I'm just going to take one of the, I guess, larger gems. There's two sizes, it looks like here. And I'm going to put that right in the center of our poinsettia. That is really all of the embellishments that I used on this card. I didn't really think it needed anything else with the embossing and our pretty poinsettia there. So that is it for the card front. I'm going to go ahead and position my two holly leaves on a stamp block here. And I'm going to kind of, I want to make sure my points are out, kind of put those together with the way I want them to be stamped. Let me try that one more time. And I think that would be good. We're going to go ahead and stamp this off to the side of our inside panel. And I'm going to stamp that in Evening Evergreen. Okay. There we go, that's a nice impression. And then I'm going to go ahead and stamp this on the envelope front as well. Kind of coming up from the bottom. And a partial stamp is just fine. Okay, there we go. Now we can go ahead and adhere our strip of the Festive Foils specialty paper to the bottom of our inside panel. I always like to stamp my, you know, I didn't stamp my inside grading. We'll come back to that. Hopefully I get it good the first time. I like to stand my panels up when I'm adhering little strips like this, just to make sure. There we go. That looks good. Okay, let's get our sentiment stamped off here. And the inside sentiment, thinking of you this festive season. Just making sure I have it on my stamp block, and I do. And back to Cherry Cobbler ink. I'm just going to move this over and kind of center it between the holly leaves and the edge of the left edge of the panel. And that looks pretty good. Close up our ink here. And we can go ahead and get our grading inside of the card. So we're in the 80s again today. It's not humid, thank goodness. We're getting rain tomorrow, and then the high on Friday is going to be in the 60s. So wow, big weather change coming. I've got a dimensional cover sticking to my finger here. Okay, that is the inside of our card. And the outside is done, and we'll just finish off the envelope. And I don't like how I stamp those leaves on the envelope. I'm going to go ahead and stamp those leaves one more time because that doesn't look nice. Get the ink back out, and I'll try to get a better image on the envelope this time. Much better. All right. And then I also have cut a piece of the specialty paper. I don't know if you can see the sparkle on that. It's so pretty. For our envelope flap. And we'll go ahead and get that here. And our card is done for today. Yay. Just to let you know, the Perfect Partners promotion ends September 30th. Those are the 6 dies that Stampin' Up! Came out with from their mini and annual catalog to coordinate with stamp sets from the mini and annual catalog. So you can, if you already own the stamp set, you can purchase the dies, or you could get the stamp set and dies at a bundled price. And you can get those details on my website. I'm going to go ahead and just fussy cut around the envelope flap to finish this off. And then the other promotion that's going on right now is weekly deals. And starting tomorrow is the last week of the weekly deals. And that promotion ends on September 28th. And they've had some great prices on stuff. And it's usually stuff like I've just ordered. And then the weekly deal comes up and it's on sale. Like, it's my luck. But if you haven't caught that, again, you can get those details on my blog, inkybstampers.com. Sorry, I was just trying to catch up on comments. You're warming up again, Faith. Oh my goodness. All right. And then on October 1st, it is World Card Making Day. So Stampin' Up! Is having an event. If you go to the Stampin' Up! Website, you can register for the event. It's not necessary to register, but you can register for the event. I think that just gets you the information quicker that you'll need to link up with Stampin' Up! On October 1st. That's a Saturday. My team, the Ink and Crew, is also going to be holding card presentations before and after Stampin' Up's event. So you can kind of gather your stamping friends and make a whole day of it. I will be presenting on October 1st on behalf of my team, so I'm looking forward to that. But yeah, so it should be a fun time. It's free. It's all virtual. So if you're available, make sure that you catch up, you know, with the Stampin' Up event and the Ink and Crew event. The Ink and Crew event, I will be posting a link where you can join in. So just keep an eye on my blog. But anyway, yeah, our card is done. Merriest Moments, and it just makes such a pretty card. And I'm looking forward to playing with this set some more because the dies and the embossing folder give you some other options, you know, to create cards. But that is it for today. I want to really thank you for joining. Yeah, Mary, I don't know what I'm making yet for World Card Making Day. So I'm working on it. I've kind of had some ideas. So we'll see what happens. Thanks very much. I appreciate it, Mary. So this is the card. Thanks again for joining. You all have a great rest of your day. Stay safe, have fun, be crafty, and I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.